up, everybody? And thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of the Young Democrats of Georgia Black Caucus podcast, where we interview elected officials and community organizers from all across the state of Georgia. And today, it's a change of pace. It's a change from the usual, what we normally do. A lot of questions and a lot of hype is surrounding uh, black the black vote. The black vote is the key piece in what's happening in this election. So today we are going to be talking with the Atlanta Young Republicans Black Caucus chair. With this conversation, we're going to set a little platform, a little, ground rules. We're going to set the stage. This is not to be intended for us to tear down each other, but yet to have a conversation that we feel like is never had, but people have a lot of questions, but none of the answers to um, what Black people are thinking, what Black males are thinking. So this is going to be the opportunity for everybody to engage in the conversation. So as you see, please drop your comments into the comment box. If you have any questions, you'll see them pop up across the screen. We are actually just giving Mr. Dennis a little bit of time. He's trying to connect some of his audio issues, but can we get a tap in the comments right now for everybody that we have? If you representing for the Young Democrats of Georgia Black Caucus, I need black hearts all in the chat, And if you are representing for the Young Republicans of Atlanta Black Caucus, I mean, I guess we could see some red hearts in there. And I'm excited for this conversation. This is something that me and Scotty, we actually talk kind of frequently. I enjoy it. I enjoy the back and forths that we have. I enjoy the conversations that we have. So I am excited to go ahead and bring that to everybody today. In the meantime, while we're waiting for Mr. Scotty to connect his audio, we want to go ahead and get everybody to follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you don't mind, go ahead and send us an email as well. And, tell us some of your thoughts of what you think and how everything is going on. Let's do a tap in right now. We got my boy Blake in the building. Shout out Blake. We got Ariana Maddow, secretary, soon to be chairwoman in the building. Shout out Cecil. Protocol from Savannah. I already know how you rocking, my right wing brother. I already know. YDG Black Caucus is in the building. This is what we like to see. If you don't mind, in the meantime as well, send it to a friend. Send it to the friend that you've been debating with. Get in the comments and get to debating too. It's nothing wrong with a healthy debate. It's nothing wrong with a civil disagreement. And that's kind of what we are hoping to accomplish by the end of this. I make no promises, but that is what we're hoping to accomplish, is to set the stage for healthy sparring, healthy back and forths. Shout out Jaden, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Treasurer. Shout out Marvin in the building. Cousin Velvet. I'm excited that you tapped in. We had a conversation this past weekend, and I'm excited to kind of see. I'm excited to see that. That's what I like. So yeah, right now we're just waiting for the connection issues to get all squared away. Chris, how you doing, my brother? Chris, how you doing? I'm thinking YDG Black Caucus is representing right now. I mean, that's how I see it. I don't know. Maybe I can get all my trash talking out the way right now. Then I mean, I'm not seeing no red hearts. I'm not really seeing no red hearts. I don't know. But if you just tuned in, also make sure you drop comments. We want this to be we want to involve everybody. We think everybody's voice should be heard. As you've been seeing in the news, people want to hear from the young Black, not just young Black, but Black voters in general. They want to hear from us. We are the base of every party. we swing elections and we hold the strongest vote. That is, without a doubt, the facts of the case. So drop your comments, drop how you feeling there. All right, there we go. One red heart. One red heart. Shout out to you though. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. We are just giving Mr. Scotty a chance to tap in. D King, YDG Black Caucus. I love to see it. I don't know. I think, is this setting the stage? Is this setting the stage right now? I don't know. I think we're setting the stage. We are just waiting for everybody to tap in. Arshad, how you doing, my boy? President of the Georgia State Young Dems. That's what I like to see. Oh, I meant to add this part too. This is something new we're gonna try out here. We haven't tried it yet, so we'll see how it goes. But we're gonna give people a chance to actually jump on the microphone. We're gonna give people a chance to jump on the microphone. Just call 470-588-5230. Again, that is 470-588-5230. And while we wait in the meantime, go ahead and call the line right now. Call the line right now. Let's hear what you got to say before what you say the main attraction. Before the main attraction happens, what we're taking calls from everybody as well. We don't discriminate. We're gonna play fair. We're gonna keep it fair. GR, glad to see you. Glad to see you. Finally, with some red hearts. Whew, I was getting worried. Call the number. Let's get some voices in here in the meantime. We got time. It looks like we got time. Phone line.
Ariana.
And who do we have the pleasure of speaking with right now?
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with right now?
It's your girl, Madam Secretary.
That's it, Madam Secretary. That's it.
Yes, sir. Just want to say I'm ready for the debate. We about to go crazy. Young Dems, Black Caucus. It's always in the building, and I'm ready.
That's what I love. And where you let them know where you calling from too. Represent your school while we at it, because we want to show the Black Caucus is educated.
#1. Yes, the #1 HBCU in the nation for 17 consecutive years, Spelman College. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Spelman in the building. Well, Madam Secretary, I knew we could always count on you to be here. You right on time. Fine. And I'm so excited for this. I'm excited for this.
Bye.
Bye, Madam Secretary. Who else we got? You might as well tap in. While we got time. And who do we have the pleasure of speaking with right now?
Hey, how's it going? My name is Nico Parra.
Nico, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. I'm from the Gwinnett Young Dems, and I'm here to say on their behalf that you're doing an amazing job. I love what you're doing, man. Keep it up, okay?
Appreciate you, Nico, man. And shout out to you too for all your W's in your elections. We wish nothing but the best for you, and we know you're gonna do well for Gwinnett. And shout out to the Gwinnett Young Dems too. They've been representing. The Gwinnett Young Dems have been representing. Shout out to them.
Thank you, man. Thank you. You as well, okay? I look forward to the debate.
All right, brother. Please stay tuned, brother.
All
All right.
Thanks, Devontae.
Connectivity. You know, it happens. It happens to the best of us. Shout out to Naomi. Another Spellmanite in the building. Okay. We just wait for Mr. Dennis to tap in. That's all we waiting for. All right, he said 3 minutes. Get your popcorn ready, I guess. Get your popcorn ready. I've been actually looking forward to this all day. I can't lie to you. I've been looking forward to this all day. Because I feel like we haven't had nothing like this in a while. Correct me if I'm wrong. When's the last time both Black caucuses had a conversation? I can't recall the time. He said 3 minutes. He said he tapping in, though. He said he tapping in. Uh-oh.
Call from
Elise.
And who do we have the pleasure of speaking with right now?
Hey, it's Elise, the secretary of YDG.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Secretary. How are we doing?
I am great. I'm so excited. I just had to call to drop a line. I wanted to remind everyone to vote in their runoff and to double check, triple check, quadruple check your voter registration after this latest mass purge. So that was all. I just had to come drop a little knowledge and a little love.
Madam Secretary, we appreciate you so much.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right, see you in the comments. Hey, we go. Mass purging is a thing, though. I guess we'll talk about that too. Mass purging is a thing. But you can always count on Elise to tap in and you know, she gonna set things straight. That's a bad woman right there. That's a bad woman right there. Watch out for her. And who do we have the pleasure of speaking with right now?
Gated.
Mr. Treasurer, how we doing?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. I got my coffee ready, my water ready. I'm ready to get going.
Listen, I just had to come on here and say I am excited for what the Black Caucus is doing. Chair, you are doing an amazing job. But I had to come over here and make sure that to say that the only way we can make events like this happen is if people donate to the Young Democrats of Georgia Black Caucus. So donate via Cash App at $YDG Black Caucus, and we have the Act Blue on our Instagram. So I had to make sure I come on here and said that too.
You had to do your job. I ain't mad at it, brother. Hey, get to it. Get to it.
Listen, and since you let Ariana do it, I just want to make this be known. There is only one place in the world, and that's Clark Atlanta University. That's all I had to
say. hey, we gonna save the internal battles for after the main battle, okay? We gonna save the internal ones. We gonna save it. But Jada, we appreciate you, bro. We appreciate all the work you've done for the Black Caucus, and we're excited for everything to come in the future. I ain't gonna on that one. On that one.
I'll talk to y'all later. Good luck tonight. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Dang. Red hearts, call in. I ain't heard a red heart yet. I ain't seen a red heart in the comment yet. I don't know. This is a YDG Black Caucus show though, so you know. I'm just waiting for the tune in. That's it. I guess I should hydrate in the meantime. All right, he's logging on. Go get your people. Go get your people. Send the link. Send the link to send the link to send the link. Grab your people. He said he logged on, but I don't see it yet. I'm ready to get active now. I'm ready to get active. I can't even sit still no more. I can't even sit still no more. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Who we introducing? Who we introducing? Tap in, let them know which city you're coming from, what part of Georgia you in. Rep your city, rep your city, rep your area. Rep your caucus. Pick a side. Pick a side right now. Pick a side. Uh-oh. 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 We about to get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. And without further ado, I want to introduce the Atlanta Young Republicans Black Caucus Chair, Mr. Scotty.
What's going on, my man?
Nice to see you, my boy. Nice to see you, my boy.
I don't know if you can see me very good. Is that a good view?
Oh, it's clear. I love the picture in the back too, my boy. I ain't even gonna lie. I love the picture in the back.
Appreciate it. You cut your locks off.
Man, the locks is off, brother. They
off.
Wow. You know, I said it's election time. I'm on my Tupac.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. I see you. I've been thinking about going back to the schoolboy, man. You know, for the past few years, I done had locks, I done had braids, you know, over the years. I've been just back and forth, man. So I don't know. It's getting hot, so I don't know.
That's the thing. That's the thing. So before we even jump straight into it, we know what everybody came for. We know what everybody came for. But can you please let everybody who may not know who you are, where you're from, and what you represent?
Okay, so actually, I used to serve on the board for the Atlanta Young Republicans, and we had a Black outreach, you know, kind of committee going on from 2021 to 2023 up under our previous president. But you know, I'm still a part of the organization. I'm a lifetime member. You know, I've been dealing with AYR for at least 10 years now. I've been part of the organization. It's a good organization, but I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia, born and raised. I didn't grow up in the city of Atlanta. I grew up in suburban Atlanta, specifically Cobb and Douglasville. So I'm a native Georgian, a very proud native Georgian. And, you know, I've been a conservative, I would say a solid conservative all the way for about 12 years. I voted for a Republican the first time back in 2010. And I kind of went back and forth, but I haven't voted Democrat for quite some time. I was never really a solid Democrat. I was more like an independent, but
I can respect that.
Yeah.
That. So, you know, we've had this conversation before, but since you just enlightened us that you used to vote Democrat, what was the change in why you decided the way you did from being an independent to being heavily involved with the Republican Party?
So basically, my very first time voting, I voted for Barack Obama back in 2008. That was my very first time voting in my life. I was eligible to vote. I was excited about voting. And long story short, I would say 2 years into his presidency from 2008 to 2010, you know, because I didn't really know much about Barack Obama. I just knew that he was the first Black president, and I was excited about that. That kind of meant something to me. I was kind of in shock and awe that we were having this happen. And he started, you know, equivocating on certain issues. I'm a God-fearing person, so you know, certain issues, like you know, a lot of Republicans, you know, we're thought of as being Bible thumpers. You know, that may be a little bit true to a degree, but if I don't know what your faith is, we never really discussed that. But I mean, I know you're from the South just like I am, so I would assume you believe in God. Most Black people believe in God or some other higher power. So Barack Obama started going against some things that weren't in alignment with my faith, and particularly he supported abortion, especially taxpayer funded abortion. I had a big problem with that. He came out and flip flop on marriage. He said he believed marriage was between one man and one woman. He changed on that. I don't like the way that he wanted to grant amnesty to illegal aliens. The healthcare law, you know how it was. I don't know if you remember back when they did the healthcare law, that we call it Obamacare, but the correct term is called the Affordable Care Act. And under the Affordable Care Act, when it first became law, there was something called the individual mandate, where you were forced to pay for some type of health care, or otherwise you had to pay a tax. And then there was the employer mandate. So again, I didn't really do my research on Obama. Like I said, I was like 22, 23 years old at the time. I was so excited just to vote. And when I did vote, I think I might have been 23, 24, I can't remember. But regardless, I was in my 20s. It was my first time voting, and I didn't do my due diligence. I just voted because, no, I ain't gonna say I voted for him just because he was Black. I do remember the Bush term, the 2 terms that Bush served, and George W. Bush didn't really govern like a true conservative. He had a big deficit up under his administration as well. We've been overspending under Democrat and Republican presidents. It's really not one particular party you can blame. It's both their faults.
Here, since you said like a true conservative, because on my side of the aisle, on our side of the aisle, we kind of, or I'll speak for myself, I group conservatives together. When I hear the word conservative, I just put it together. So what makes your ideology a true conservative ideology and make someone like a George W. Bush ideology more not so conservative?
Okay, so whenever you hear a true conservative use the term true conservative, there are certain tenets to the Republican Party platform. You'll hear things like limited government. You'll hear things like being fiscally responsible, fiscal conservatism, meaning that we are conservative with the taxpayers' money. We respect our constituents enough to only use the money that we need, and we'll give it back to them. You know, being transparent, government transparency. You know, when it comes to social issues, you know, the Republican Party platform is synonymous with God. It's just what it is. I mean, I think that as a party, we've gotten a little bit more secular for whatever reason. That's another conversation for another day. But when I say that George W. Bush didn't govern as a true conservative, if you look at the national debt from, I think, the mid 2000s up until now, it's gone up under every president since then. I mean, we've been overspending for decades, to be honest with you. But you look at the war in Iraq. You know, there were supposed to be weapons of mass destructions over there. No weapons of mass destruction. You know, of course, 9/11 happened, and they created the Department of Homeland Security and signed the Patriot Act, and that all that grew government. And I understand why they did those things. You know, we had a terrorist attack that claimed the lives of thousands of innocent Americans. But at the end of the day, when you look at the amount of money that we've spent, and I don't think that Democrats nor Republicans are as focused on this particular issue, the national debt, as they should be. I mean, this is a big part of the reason why the inflation is what it is, because under the Trump and Biden administration, more and more money has been printed. The term is called quantitative easing, when they just print more money. We're one of the only countries in the world that can just print money out of thin air like that and it not crash our economy, because we're the world's reserve currency.
But when you have to say COVID played a huge part of that, though.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm not angry that we spent more money because of COVID, but despite the fact that COVID happened, it still doesn't change the fact that we printed more and more money that we don't have. And when you print more and more money that you don't have, the laws of supply and demand teach you that when you have more of something, it becomes what? Less valuable. And that's just the incontrovertible truth. So that's one thing that me as a true conservative, I will give, I have smoke for both parties at the federal level, the Democrats and the Republicans, because they both have to agree on the budget. If you know anything about the Congress, and I'm pretty sure you do, but just for anybody that's listening, the number one thing that any state government or the federal government has to do, they have to pass a budget. We have to have money to, keep our government open. That's just the way it works. So
pretty much what we're doing right now is we're setting the stage, because I want people to understand that you are a Black male, obviously. I am a Black male, but we are on two totally different sides of the spectrum. So I just wanted to shape it so that way people understand this is not an undercover Democrat that is staging as a Republican. He's a true real deal Republican. So, with that being said, we're going to hit a couple issues. We're going to hit, the hot topic issues on the economy, all this education and all that. But I want to go ahead and get this clarified. Are you a Republican or are you a MAGA?
That's a very interesting question. To be honest with you, I am a 100% supporter of Donald Trump. I do like the MAGA platform. It's also synonymous with the term America First. I guess you could call me a MAGA Republican. I've been an America First conservative. I tell this to people all the time. I'm a conservative first, a Republican second, because, conservatism is sort of the ideology, if you will. A Republican is just the name of the party, just like the Democrat is the name of a party. Like if I was to ask you, are you a progressive? Are you a liberal? Are you a socialist? All those things can be put up under the Democrat Party umbrella, to be honest with you. Just like in the Republican Party, we have the term called neocon, which is more of your traditional foreign interventionist like George W. Bush, fighting all these endless wars and stuff like that. And then you have more of your libertarian conservative like a Rand Paul or a Ron Paul, his dad. Another guy out of Kentucky, Thomas Massey. I just listened to an interview he did with Tucker Carlson. I'm pretty sure you've heard of libertarians. So,
oh yeah, I just saw they had a convention.
They did, yep. And the guy they selected to be their nominee is from Georgia. Apparently, I don't know much about him, but he's a far leftist. But I identify Devontae as a America First conservative, unapologetically, unequivocally. I believe that we have so many issues here at home that we need to be focused on before we go run around and spend trillions of dollars throughout the world. I mean, we got allies, the Israel-Palestine conflict, you got the Russia-Ukraine conflict. I get it. I'm not saying I don't care about those conflicts. I do. I wish that that nobody was losing their lives, because to be honest with you, those wars should not be going on right now. And I ain't trying to jump the gun, but when the Orange Man was in office, you didn't have this stuff going on. So,
well, I'm glad I'm glad we kicked it off. Well, I guess my first thing is when it comes to specifically what I identify as, I'm true blue Democrat, of course. Black man first, though. So any issues surrounding Black issues, that is where I lean. That is what, I'm a Black man before I'm a Democrat, most definitely. And I think we can go ahead and check one box from this conversation is I think we both agree that, especially when it comes to issues dealing with Black Americans, we need to focus at home. I think that's a checkbox at least me and you can agree on that one. Now we're gonna go into the Orange Man real quick. We're gonna go to the Orange Man because we say there was no wars. But I'd have to push back on that because I think we did. I think a war kicked off when Donald Trump was elected. I think he kicked off a civil war within the United States. Now, do I think he is the one that festered all of it? No, I think this is tension that was bubbling from the time Barack Obama was elected. And I think from that time Barack Obama was elected, you had certain people who were upset. They felt some type of way. And Donald Trump just came in and said everything that the Republican Party was feeling. So I think he did kick off a war. I think he kicked off a civil war, which is why we can't even have civil conversations like we're having right now.
Well, I disagree with you that we have a civil war going on right now. I mean, what I will say is this, and let's just ignore the political labels. Is my volume good? Can you hear me pretty good?
Oh yeah, you're perfect. You're perfect.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure. To be honest with you, I just want to say I have a lot of respect for you. And to be honest with you, I have a lot of people in my family who are Democrats. I mean, as Black people, we are 90% Democrat over the past 50, 60 years. A big issue, and I'm glad you brought that up, because a big issue that we have right now is you have so much tension in this country between people over politics. But at the end of the day, I'm a man before I'm anything else, a Black man, you're a Black man. And is race is irrelevant. In the Republican Party, we don't really do identity politics. We're not supposed to. But
we're gonna get back to that. We're gonna get back.
I just wanted to say that as men who are both having an American experience growing up in this society, trying to navigate our way through this society on a day-to-day basis, when it comes to this inflation, when it comes to you live in the Atlanta areas like me, we got traffic to deal with. We got to keep ourselves, and you got a child, you keep your family safe. We got a lot of the same issue. We just had a water main burst in the city of Atlanta. That don't have nothing to do with Democrat or Republican. So it's a lot of issues that we can both come together on and say, hey, this issue affects me, it affects you, it affects everybody, regardless of Democrat versus Republican. There is no such thing as Democrat traffic or Republican traffic. Democrat crime versus Republican crime. Democrat education versus Republican education. You feel me? So just the fact that we're able to have a conversation without name calling and cursing each other out and all, that's insane to me, that people are that riled up over something like politics. It's really not that serious at the end of the day, because those issues are going to remain regardless of what you call yourself and regardless of how mad you get because somebody don't agree with you. That's insane.
And I'm glad because I want to reciprocate the same energy. Nothing but respect for you. Nothing but, I mean, honestly, we've, outside of this platform right here, we communicate. We've hung out before. We've actually got to, and we are on two totally different sides of the spectrum, but there should be no reason why, like you said, politics isn't that deep. It isn't that deep. And I'm glad, because what we're going to walk away from this conversation with is, I highly doubt either one of us is going to flip aside. I don't know. I might show you the undercover hoods in the Republican Party, and you might come over. You might come over. But I just want to make that clear and establish real quick, because outside of this, off camera, I mean, we're actually cool. So that's good. Now, what we're going to get to is the fact that race is irrelevant in the Republican Party. I want to give you the first go at why you think that.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not going to say that everybody in the Republican Party shares my sentiments when it comes to race. But as far as, like I said, identity politics, there is a cliche that we have in the Republican Party that goes, we're a big tent, that we don't care about gender, we don't care about race, we care about ideas, we care about your values. And I'm certainly one of those types of people. I've met people that are Indian, I've met people that are Black like me, I've met younger Black people, older Black people, younger white people, older white people, gay, straight, regardless of how you identify. What are your values? How do you feel about America? Where do you stand on certain issues? And I think that this past presidential primary on our side proves what I'm talking about. You had Tim Scott, who's Black, obviously. You had a guy that's Indian named Vivek Ramaswamy, who I'm a fan of. And of course, you had Nikki Haley, who's, I think she's Indian. I don't know if she's fully.
I think Either she's half Indian.
Yeah, I don't know if she's half or full. I would have
Not
to
a
go.
white woman like I thought she was.
She might be full Indian, but her real name is Nimarata.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an Indian name. So she's actually a full, well, she might be a full Indian, but irrespective of whether she's full or half, that's, you know, multiple different ethnicities that we had trying to vie to get the nomination for the highest office in the land in the so-called racist party, the white man's party. And a lot of white Republicans, specifically here in Georgia, North Carolina, I guess you could say Texas and Florida to a degree, but the reason I say to a degree because their demographics are quite different.
Florida's our crazy cousin, honestly.
What happened?
Florida's just Georgia's crazy cousin.
Well, the reason why I brought up, the reason why I said Florida and Texas are a little bit different because they have a lot larger Hispanic population, and they are kind of already switching over to Republicans. In the black race, you have a gradual shift amongst younger black men. Black women are not there yet, but a lot of white Republicans and black Republicans, such as myself, we are aware of the demographic transformation that's happening down south, and we are witnessing Georgia, North Carolina, not so much Tennessee, but specifically Georgia and North Carolina, Texas and Florida to a degree. But like I said, there's a whole lot of Hispanics there, so they kind of offset the black growth. We will not be able to maintain a Republican majority in the state of Georgia or North Carolina without some serious inroads into the black community with the Republican Party. And a lot of Republican Party operatives, you know, talking heads, elected officials have been very, very receptive to us black Republicans. They treated us very well. The Atlanta Young Republicans organization, it's mostly white people. But man, when I tell you 90 something, you're so silly. 90, I'm being so serious when I say this.
I got you.
90 something percent of every conservative that I've ever met in my life is either directly or indirectly related to AYR. Like I didn't meet everybody at an AYR meeting, but I met a person and then I met another person through that person, then through that person, through that person, through that person. You know what I'm saying? How it just kind of branches off. And it's quite remarkable to me that this organization has been such a good opportunity for me to get out there and mingle with people. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know a soul in the group. I was, you know, looking around like, who are all these people, you know? And next thing I know, and I at one point, to be honest with you, Devontae, when I first became a Republican, I would go into Republican meetings and go into these event spaces and look around. And I ain't gonna lie, I like I said, I know we don't do identity politics, but camaraderie does matter. And I'm looking around, I'm like, man, I don't see no other black people. And then eventually, as time went on, I would start seeing more and more and more black people. And at a certain point, you start meeting enough black conservatives, you've met them all. But now it's to the point where I go to certain events and I see black conservatives, and I'm like, I don't even know who these people are, which is a good thing. So it's a real movement. I mean, it's a gradual movement. We didn't get to this point where we vote blue no matter who overnight, and we're not going to get out of it overnight. It's going to be a gradual process. And the elder blacks are the ones that are the most rigid in their blue, no matter who. They are, you know, dyed in the wool Democrats to the very end. They're going to die Democrat. Ain't nothing you can do about them. But
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think when you look at the platforms, when you look at who's representing these parties, it is definitely, in my opinion, an easy choice. But I want to go to something that I kind of feel like is a contradiction. I do feel like it's a contradiction for it to be, I'm going to say, quote unquote, a very Christian based organization that doesn't do identity politics, but is not accepting of people from the LGBTQ community. They're very anti-trans. I have to say it. A lot of them are anti-black. I mean, I literally, on the way from the airport the other day, I literally just see a guy's bumper sticker with Sons of the Confederacy with a Confederate flag and Trump tattooed all over his truck. So I think to say that there is no identity politics, maybe that is you don't do identity politics, but I believe personally the Republican Party does.
Well, I'm gonna say this right here. There are different personalities in every party. I mean, yeah, you do have some sons of the Confederacy guys, and they do support Trump, of course. And in your party, you have people who believe in socialism. You have people that are more of your traditional blue dog Democrats, even though those are a dying breed. I'm pretty sure you've heard of the term blue dog Democrat.
I got some old folks.
Like I know a lot of older black folks and older white folks who still. I matter of fact, believe it or not, I was at there's an organization that I'm also a part of. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called the Frederick Douglass Foundation. Great organization. You heard of them?
Change the name. I think they should change the name, but I have heard of them.
Okay, listen at you. No, but seriously, look, the leader of the Frederick Douglass Foundation here in Georgia. He's a really good friend of mine. I call him my spiritual big brother. He's a great guy. But anyway, I brought them up because you got some older black people, you got all kind of black people that vote Democrat, but they still have traditional conservative values. Like we had an event in Roswell a couple years ago for the Frederick Douglass Foundation, and there was a black state lawmaker from Louisiana. I forgot her name. She's a black female state rep in Louisiana, and she's pro-life and a Democrat. And I was amazed by that. I was like, really? You're a pro-life Democrat? And she said, yeah, like, and I don't know if she's a Democrat just because she wants to keep winning elections, or she just doesn't want to join the Republic. I don't know, but she is a pro-life Democrat. They do exist, even though not in large numbers. So I say that to say that there is no blanket label on what a conservative is supposed to be, as far as them being like, you're not gonna see me with no Sons of the Confederacy on the back of my truck.
I would hope not, my boy. I don't even think, bro, like, I would have to stop talking at that point.
Right. I mean, look, you got all kind of crazy stuff. You brought up the trans and LGBT stuff. The Republican Party doesn't hate trans or gay people, but there has to be a line drawn, because think about it like this. I know we're on YouTube. I got to be careful how I say certain things, but when it comes to stuff like men and women's sports, for example, I don't know. What is your position on that, for example? Let me see where your head at.
When it comes, what do you mean specifically about men? Do I think that
it's a cut and dry issue, dude? Think of it like this.
I want to give you a real answer. So are you asking?
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you this right here. You got a daughter, right?
Indeed, I do.
Okay, so let's say your daughter grows up and she wants to play soccer, and I don't know how old your daughter is now, but I'm assuming she's young. So let's say she grows up and she's 12, 13 years old, or even joins a swim team. There's a white girl by the name of Riley Gaines. I don't know if you've ever heard of her.
I think we've all heard
that situation with Leah Thomas, who was born William Thomas. Is that fair? Should a biological male be allowed to compete against a biological female because he says, I feel like a girl today, and he puts on a bathing suit like a girl and a wig? Is that fair?
I am a huge supporter of the trans basketball league. I think it is, if we're doing, non-binary, I think we should have our own league for the transgender community. That is
where is that though? Where the league at?
There's actually trans league. There is a league. There's a trans basketball league that
where?
If you watching right now, go to Instagram. I want you to go to the YDG LGBTQ Caucus page and look at the trans basketball flyer that they posted. That is a trans basketball league that I've attended, and they accept and allow everybody to play, whether you identify as male, female, trans male, trans female. So I guess if we allowing them to play against each other like that, what is such a big deal? But if you're asking me, I support a trans league, whatever that sport is, a league of its own, just like there's a male league, a female league.
If your daughter grows up and becomes a sensational female athlete, and she's competing if she's competing against nothing but biological females, how would you feel as her father 10 years down the road, and she's got opportunities to get scholarships and all kind of stuff? How would you feel if a biological male jumped in the swimming pool with her and swam against her? How would you feel?
She got that dog in her. Male, female.
Answer the question. Answer the question.
All right, I'm gonna give you no politics. This is not a politician answer.
As a man, answer it as a man.
am raising my daughter and will raise my daughter to compete and destroy any competition, male or female. You identify as male, want to jump in, and now you're female, jump in the pool. Jump in the pool. Get on the court. That's how I'm raising my daughter. As a man, that is my answer.
So you would be okay with, is you gonna raise your daughter to be so strong, even though y'all party love to say trust the science. We're XY chromosomes, women are XX. Men are naturally stronger than women. We're talking like 99.99999% of the time. I know there are always outliers. We got more testosterone in them. We can jump higher than them. Our lungs are bigger than theirs. We got more stamina than them. We are just physically more dominant than women. That's just an incontrovertible truth. Now, I don't have any children yet, but when I have my children, I'm not going to be for that, bro. I don't believe in that. I believe you got women's sports, you got men's sports. It doesn't mean that the transgender people should not be allowed to participate, but I like the idea of a trans league. The problem is the trans league is the majority of people are not going to come and support it. The trans community only makes up 0.8% of the overall population, if I'm not mistaken. They don't even make up a full percent of the population. So it seems to me that they're more interested in subverting the wheel and the they're trying to, you know, circumnavigate the traditional boundaries that we've had in place since forever when it comes to men versus women in sports and competition. You know, let me ask you another one. Do you think that it's okay for a biological male to come use the bathroom with your little girl?
I think there are unisex bathrooms that are fair.
So you would be okay with the 6'2", 230-pound dude with a wig and a dress on walking in the bathroom with your little girl?
My little girl does not attend the bathroom by herself.
Well, that's a good thing. I would hope not. And I'm not trying to make this situation all about your little girl. I'm just
no. I mean, but that's the most relevant. Like,
it blows my mind that you are a father of a precious little girl. Like a little girl. I was just with my little baby cousin earlier. She's a little girl. She's 3 years old, and I just could not imagine any man doing anything to make her uncomfortable. And she ain't even my blood. She's my blood, but she's not even my daughter.
Let me ask you this then. Let me flip it. When you do have children and your little girl decides that she is in the wrong body, she feels like she is a boy and wants to transition, she starts to transition, do you still love and support her?
First of all, she's not going to be transitioning. We're not going to allow that. But if my little girl came to me, if God blesses me with a daughter and she came to me and said, "Daddy, I feel like I want to be a boy," I was like, "Okay, go play." And I'm gonna hear it, but I'm not gonna give it any life. I'm not going to allow it to go any deeper than that. Like, and I'm glad you brought that up. They are now giving children hormone blockers, puberty blockers. There was a Caucasian girl. I don't know if you heard of her. Her name is Chloe Cole. I think she's out of California. When she was 15 years old, she had a double mastectomy. They chopped both her breasts off because she was suffering from gender dysphoria. Do you agree that people under the age of 18 should be getting sex reassignment surgeries?
Which is permanent?
With parent consent? Ooh, boy, you are. I think you're a progressive extremist.
No, this is my thing. I think this is where some of the disconnect happens as well. For a representation, for you to represent something where you believe in small government, less government interference, what someone decides is best, what their child, the parents and that child decide is best for their daughter or son has nothing to do with me. That isn't none of my business. I'm not putting food on their table. I'm not going to work for that household. How does that person transitioning affect my life? That's my point of view.
Have you heard of the current Title IX situation with the Obama administration when it comes to gender?
I've heard of Title IX because I wanted to get a football team brought to Clayton State. Yes, I'm aware.
Well, that's the government. Title IX is directly related to the federal government. So both parties are. Listen, let me tell you this right here. When it comes to limited government does not mean that we allow radical government. You know what I'm saying? When we say limited government, we want people to be able to be masters of their own destiny. We want as little government interference in our lives as possible, but there should be rules and we have to set demarcations, aka boundaries. I believe in boundaries. Okay, because if we would have set boundaries years ago with some of this stuff, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. And my question to you, Mr. Devontae, is where does it end, homie? Like, how far are we going to go? You got drag queens reading stories to little children, shaking their genitals in their faces. Is that okay too? Would you take your daughter to a drag queen story show?
Well, this
yeah, come on.
No, I'm saying this is the part where I see we're not going to agree on this. Like, this is just one of the issues. How we checked off box number one. We need to stay at home. We need to focus on issues at home. This is one issue that we are just never probably going to see or agree on.
And that's fine, but I'm just letting you know where I stand. You let me know where you stand. I think your ideas on this trans and gender stuff is outrageous, and you may think my stances are outrageous. I still love you, but yeah. I'm flabbergasted. And you have a daughter. That's even more. And that's when you told me that you was a classic liberal, I was just like, wow, that's incredible. And you Southern. You from the South too. You from the Bible Belt like me.
From born in Huntsville, Alabama, but we're gonna mark that one as a not agree. All right, that's a not agree. So let's get down to an issue that I feel like is important. Do you believe in infrastructural racism?
Infrastructural racism? You mean like systemic racism?
Not
elaborate a little bit. I've never heard the infrastructural racism term.
Let me use it for an example. Do you know where Auburn Avenue? You know where Auburn Avenue is?
Of course.
How highways and systems are developed to basically cut out interaction with those areas, which then starts to deplete that area of resources. Do you believe that that is something that systemically is a racist construct?
Well, I'm going to say it like this. I do believe that sometimes there's an old saying that goes, the highway to hell is always paved for good intentions. You may have heard that cliche before, but I don't believe that there is any racial undertones or anything when it comes to developing certain communities or building infrastructure. Like, we always talk about, oh, they built the highway through this area because it's the Black community, because it's the Black neighborhood. They don't care about this community because it's Black. They built this power plant over here because it's Black people here. I know what you're talking about. I just wanted to kind of get a little bit of clarification.
Oh yeah, that's exactly.
To be honest with you, bro, I think that's a little bit more of economic. I think that's an issue of economics. I think because the poor communities have less money and resources and organization, they kind of get railroaded more than anybody. Because I don't know if you remember this. I don't know how long you've been in Georgia, but back in the 90s, they were talking about building an outer perimeter, which would have alleviated traffic. Oh my God, it would have made traffic so much better. One of the big reasons in Metro Atlanta why the traffic is so bad is it's a lot of local traffic on 285 and the interstates. And Atlanta's a major logistics and transportation hub. 75 goes all the way to Michigan, 85 goes up to Virginia, and then it dumps into 95. 20 goes out to Texas and to the east, it goes to South Carolina. And there's a lot of freight. It's a lot of trucks going through Metro Atlanta as well. And you get on 285 any time of day, they just nonstop, right? And the reason why is because the Georgia Department of Transportation makes the trucks take 285 if they don't have a delivery inside the perimeter, inside the city. And at one point, 285 was made to be a bypass, but now it's an actual major thoroughfare for people going from point A to point B every day. And I say that to say because back in the 1990s, there was a plan to build an outer beltway. And up under Governor Roy Barnes, there was this concept called NIMBY, N-I-M-B-Y, not in my backyard. The wealthy, mostly white, politically conservatives, they rallied together and said, no, we will not have a freeway in our backyard. We will not have a freeway through Alpharetta, Georgia. We wouldn't, well, they already had Georgia 400, but we will not have another one. We will not have a freeway going through this beautiful North suburban Atlanta pristine area. Our property values are going to go down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I believe that in certain cases, certain infrastructure or major industrial developments can be stopped if the people are organized and there will be political consequence to not obeying their will. But shoot, years ago, you had a situation where they moved the Atlanta Braves Stadium to Cobb County, and a lot of people were against it, but the former county commissioner, I think his name was Tim Lee, I can't remember his name, that might be his name, but they called it a backroom deal where he signed it off behind the backs of his constituents, and in part they voted him out when he was up for re-election. But the Braves Stadium is there now, and now the traffic in that part of 285 is even worse, and that's not a black area, that's a mixed area.
But the fact that you moved such the traffic there is actually really good for an area like having the Battery. So the fact that they set up and built the Battery, how much money comes into there by having the Braves that just won the
World Series,
you know, that brings in so much money to a community. I don't think you can compare them. I think it's actually a disservice that the fact they moved it the way they did. Thank God for Georgia State now utilizing that stadium and, you know, doing what they need to do to keep things shaking. Shout out to Georgia State. But I think that is a plus for them, having the foot traction that they have over there, the malls, the Battery. I think they're fine with the extra traffic.
Well, I mean, it depends on who you ask, but the bottom line is, when it comes to the Braves Stadium, you got to ask yourself, where are most of our patrons? Where are most of our fans coming from? Are they coming from Summerhill down there where it used to be? Are they coming from places like Marietta? Are they coming from places like Kennesaw and Alpharetta and Roswell? They're coming from those areas. So it made sense for them to move to that area. But I just brought that up because it rains on the just and the unjust. You know, that's a suburban area with a lot of money. That area's had money for a long time. The Cumberland area is one of the more prominent business centers of the metro area. You see all those office buildings up there. You see all the money up there on that part of the The north, Metro Atlanta is a top heavy metropolis. The northern suburbs is where the money's at. You got some money to the south, but Alpharetta, Kennesaw, Duluth, that area don't compare to places like Union City or Fairburn or Riverdale. You know what I'm saying? It's just
they need to give the airport back to Clayton. They need to give the entire airport to Clayton County, but that's a whole different conversation. That ain't even party related. That is just pass the message. Give Clayton County the airport. But that was, you know, that wasn't even like a party issue. That was just us, you know, having a conversation about that. But I want to move things on to talk about something that is actually near and dear to me and my family. And I wanted to hear your thoughts. And I want to start off with your party's stance on prison reform and the incarceration rates, specifically amongst Black people. Start with the first one first. Okay, prison reform. There we go. Simplify.
So you're asking me, where's my party at on prison reform?
Yeah, like what is the stance on prison reform? What are some of the, you know, the things that they plan on doing about prison reform, if they even care about prison reform?
Okay, so to be honest with you, I could jump right into it by bringing up Trump's First Step Act, which he signed into law, which let out a lot of people who received kind of extreme sentences during the 90s and early 2000s, which was a result of your favorite president, Joseph Robinette Biden, when he signed the 94 crime bill into law. So, of course, our party's on board with prison reform. But I want to go back a little bit. Up under our previous governor, his name is Nathan Deal, if you remember. Nathan Deal actually was one of the top governors in the nation for doing criminal justice reform in any state. He he didn't do it himself, but obviously his legislature came up with legislation to, for example, expand drug courts. And I'm a person that honestly believes in being smart on crime. I believe if you have a substance abuse issue and you're not a violent criminal, I believe that expanding drug courts and trying to get you clean is better than just locking you up because you can't stop smoking dope or using whatever drug you're using. When it comes to, and I've talked to conservative judges and conservative elected officials at the state and federal level about this issue, and I think we can all agree. I don't know where your position is as a hardcore Democrat, but I think we can all agree that safety matters. And anybody who's a violent criminal, like if you put a gun to somebody's head and rob them, or you break into somebody's home, I believe you should be charged with a felony if you steal somebody's car. Any type of situation where you deprive somebody of their safety, anytime you threaten somebody's life, or even at the worst, of course, take somebody's life, I believe that it's curtains for you. I don't believe you should get any type of leniency. I think you deserve hard time, because we have to have an orderly society. We're, like I said, we're the party of law and order, and I believe that it's not unreasonable to lock violent people up, people who we would refer to as a menace to society. And me personally, I'm not just a reactionary type of person. I also believe in being proactive. I think we need to figure out a way to start getting more mentoring programs and building up these young men who are in these most vulnerable and dangerous communities, where they're high risk communities, as we like to call them. West side of Atlanta, where I'm from, north or south Memphis. You from Huntsville. Huntsville ain't really the worst part of Alabama. That would probably be like Birmingham. Even Montgomery is pretty hood in some parts. But you get where I'm going with this. Like we need. Let me say this real quick. We need to, and as a party, we haven't really done a whole lot when it comes to the prevention part. But when it comes to criminal justice reform, the Republican Party is very, very active when it comes to giving people second chances and alternative ways to adjudicate criminal behavior that is non-violent. But go ahead.
I wanted to first say Nathan Deal and today's Republicans totally different. Just like the John McCain Republican Party is not because today is a Trump Republican Party. That is and we have to remember, this is the same person that his stance on the 5 in New York. I mean, that kind of demonstrates, the views that he stands on, and that's what I think the Republican Party stands on, especially these past legislative sessions. They're not focused on prevention, in my opinion, because they're focusing on harsher penalties for misdemeanors, felony, whatever it is. If you commit a crime, you need to do hard time, jail time, without actually focusing on mental health issues, the wage gaps that are happening in areas where people are then forced to, they're strongly encourage themselves to go provide for their families by doing something that they probably don't want to do. So I'd have to say, I think a Republican Party then is not the Republican Party now.
I wish I had a whistle so I could blow the whistle and say flag on the play. Because believe it or not, I don't know if you've been paying attention, Brian Kemp, our current governor, and our lieutenant governor, Burt Jones, who's going to be our next governor in 2026.
Cap.
Listen up, real talk. This is for real.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, they are actually very, very big on mental health. And I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I believe it may have been under Ronald Reagan. I don't know when the disconnect happened, but we used to have a lot more what's called insane asylums. I'm not saying they're the end all be all, but they closed down a lot of psych wards. Some people do need to be in psych wards, bro. I think we can both agree with that. Not everybody.
Not everybody. Yes.
Right. But you know what the big problem is, and I think we can both agree with this, because as a Democrat, I know I'm going to speak your language with this one. Do you know that we now have over 20,000 legalized drugs that the FDA has approved on the market right now? There are over 20,000 legalized drugs that the FDA has approved over the past, few administrations. I don't know going back to which administration, but right now, look it up.
I'm anti-big farm.
That's why I said I'm speaking your language right now. The point is I'm making is they went from treatment of a lot of the mentally ill to prescribing them medication. And now what do we see we got going on right now? We got what's called the opioid crisis, which is, another conversation for another day. But you're seeing 100,000 plus Americans die from drug. And I'm not saying these are all mental health related, but There are so many things we can do to, I would say, be proactive when it comes to, people becoming statistics, when it comes to people living lives of crime, joining gangs. And this is a big problem I have with the Democrat Party, because they refuse to call out the elephant in the room. In the Republican Party, we do this. And the number one issue that we see that's causing a lot of crime and issues, and specifically we talk about we black men, the number one issue in the black community, without question, has been the deterioration of the black family. That's an incontrovertible fact. You fix the black family, you fix the crime problem, you fix the homicides, you fix the baby mama, baby daddy epidemic, and all the other ills that we see going on. I'm not saying we would be perfect, but we would be a lot better off. Like we just saw the controversial statements with Byron Donalds. You see what I'm saying? It was true. But go ahead.
Yeah. And that can go into a deep conversation just for the fact of the 250 plus years of propaganda that has even led us to this situation where we have the baby mama drama. To circle back on this opioid crisis, not to even quote a Dave Chappelle, but it became an issue or talked about or cared about when it started making its way up to the Sandy Springs, up to the Alpharettas, to the Miltons of the world. Because when we were having the crack epidemic and all that stuff, it wasn't a mental health issue. It was a hardcore drug dealer issue. And I don't know no black people back then that was really moving no boats like that for real.
And what did your president do? He wrote that 94 crime bill, and Bill Clinton signed it into law.
And you know what I can respect a Bill Clinton over a Donald Trump for, compared to the 5 in New York? He came out and said that was
he apologized.
That was a mistake.
He apologized.
That was a mistake. I shouldn't have did it. What did Donald Trump say about they should be, what did he say? They should be executed.
I think
they were exonerated. Like,
I think he may have said that. I mean, I'm gonna say this right here, Mr. Devontae. Regardless of Trump's rhetoric, you cannot deny these facts. There has never been one time in human history that Donald Trump has crafted any legislation or signed any legislation into law that hurt black people the way that crime bill hurt black people. That cannot be denied. That's an incontrovertible truth. You cannot deny it. Silence, because you can't deny it. Now let me go back to what I was talking about. You're correct about the crack epidemic. The crack epidemic was detrimental to the black community. That's a fact. I always wanted to know where it came from. I don't believe black folks invented crack.
We didn't.
It started, I think, in Los Angeles, California, and we can go on for hours just about the crack epidemic alone. So I don't want to go too deep on it.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if our country truly cared about substance abuse issues, the crack epidemic would have sounded alarms, and they would have been working on treatment, getting people off the dope, versus a lock them up and throw away the key approach, versus the opioid epidemic, where they're giving a lot of these addicts what's called Narcan, so they cannot die from their overdose. I'm pretty sure you've heard of Narcan. And also, they're not signing any crime bills for the opioid addicts. And then not to lessen the severity of the opioid crisis, the opioid addicts, they don't tend to bring the violence into the inner cities and into the suburban communities the way the crack addicts were bringing the violence. The black community was very violent during the crack epidemic. And unfortunately, there were a lot of black Democrats who also supported that crime bill during the 90s. So it wasn't just Joe Biden. It wasn't just members of the House. It was everybody in Congress at the time. But Joe Biden wrote it, and Bill Clinton signed it. Democrat on Democrat. That's a fact.
To say the opioid crisis is not violent like the crack epidemic is wild.
It's not as violent. It's not. You look at the numbers. Look at the numbers, Devontae. Let's be real. Let's look at the numbers.
My wife is a criminal defense attorney. I know of some opioid addicts that have done some crazy things.
You're a criminal defense attorney?
My wife is.
Oh, your wife is. I did not know that. Okay, well, that's awesome. Yeah. But so look at here. Being truthful. The crack epidemic, the bottom line is this. Most of the crack epidemic was confined to inner cities across this country: Atlanta, Baltimore, Miami, Birmingham, Houston, Dallas, right? inner cities, you know what I'm saying? Newark, New Jersey, right? Gary, Indiana. You can look at the ruins of those cities to this day, which came from the crack epidemics. The opioid epidemic is mostly confined to the suburbs. That's a fact. It's mostly white suburban teenagers and some middle-aged white people too. It's mostly white people, number one, and number two, it's mostly suburban. And the suburbs are not as violent as the city, bro. That's just an incontrovertible fact. That's a fact. I'm not saying it ain't no, listen. I'm not saying that there's no violence and there's no crime associated with the opioid crisis. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that the crack epidemic was off the chain. And somebody in the chat put, didn't Reagan launch the war on drugs?
Shout out, Blake.
I think it went a little bit. I think it went before him. I think you can say it even started under Nixon. But the war on drugs has been going on for a long time. Both Democrats and Republicans have perpetuated it. And I'm going to ask you a question about the drug epidemic that we've seen in this country. Do you support the legalization of hard drugs like heroin and methamphetamine and cocaine?
I support the legalization of all drugs, yes.
That's incredible.
No, hear me out. Hear me out. Because in Nordic countries where it is not criminalized to be a drug addict, because you're an addict, you're sick, crime is down, their incarceration rates are down, violent crimes are down. We need to legalize drugs. We should not criminalize the use of narcotics, the use of heroin, the use of crack, the use of cocaine, the use of cannabis, which we're slowly getting rid of cannabis. I support full legalization of all drugs.
Now I'm gonna give you my take. Cannabis and marijuana, in my humble opinion, and I think that 90% of all Americans will agree with this. Marijuana in just its pure form. I ain't talking about laced with nothing. I'm just talking about regular old marijuana. Marijuana is a plant. It grows from the ground. They don't chop it up and squeeze the juices out of it and turn it into nothing else. Marijuana is totally different to me. I'm not saying I want people walking around stoned all day, but I do not believe you should put marijuana in the same category as cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, crack,
which is why we had to deschedule it federally.
I know, and that's a good thing. I agree with you on that part. But believe it or not, in one of the most progressive cities in this country, I just listened to a radio broadcast, Portland, Oregon. They just fired their far left district attorney and replaced him with a more moderate district attorney. And I think they're reversing their drug legalization policy, because guess what it's led to? In another liberal city that's up the road from there in a different country called Vancouver, British Columbia, you have seen 4- and 5-fold increases in drug overdose deaths since they legalized some of those hard drugs like heroin, methamphetamine, cocaine, etc. And one of the biggest issues, Mr. Devontae, that you got to understand is a lot of these drugs are not pure. The cocaine, the methamphetamine, the heroin, a lot of it's laced with fentanyl. And fentanyl is extremely lethal. And I know you know that. So I know you know that. I know you do. I know you know that. Even if your wife wasn't a criminal defense attorney, you know that. That's a very big fact. And I'm very anti-fentanyl. I think it's one of the most deadly drugs we've ever seen. A lot of it, they say, is coming from China. But my question to you is, do you think that we need to be trying to curb these overdose deaths? I know how you feel about the crack epidemic, and it's black people dying too. It ain't just white folks in the suburbs dying. But I think that legalizing hard drugs is a step in the wrong direction. I think they still need to be prosecuted for drug possession, but I don't believe you should be a convicted felon because you get caught with a few grams of meth or a few grams of coke. You don't need to go to prison for no cocaine or no methamphetamine if you're just a user. I don't believe in that.
And I'm gonna say this because I just saw somebody in the chat say, do they get to ask questions? And I do think some people kind of do want to start getting involved and ask you some questions. Probably. Sure. I think if you legalize it, you don't get stepped on drugs laced with fentanyl. I mean, I think when people are buying something pure and clean. Now, no way am I saying I support people being drug addicts. Again, I think being a drug addict is a sickness. It is a disease. I don't think we should criminalize it, though. I think that is, and I think once you stop criminalizing it and having people go get it from around the corner and from John Willie knows who, I think you get cleaner drugs. I mean, safer drugs.
He said cleaner drugs. If you legalize, have you heard of Kensington, Philadelphia? You seen them videos of how it's an open air drug market? People walking around like zombies, bro. They like nodded out, bro. They looking like the Walking Dead, bro. Like they literally are. They effed up there in Philly, bro. Skid Row in L.A. Like you cool with that? You cool with like people just drugged out? Like that's not good.
Again, I think being a drug. Once we deal with a lot of the issues from top to bottom that are causing people to be drug addicts, to fall into these traps, I think we don't even have the I mean, we'll always have some type of drug problem. I mean, that would be naive to think we'll just be drug free and everything would be clean. Impossible. I just think it would be less. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you that on this front right here, there may be access to cleaner drugs if they legalize drugs, but I still don't believe it should happen. But here's the problem. The number one reason why people put cut in their drugs is not because they're trying to kill people. They put cut in the drugs so they can make more money, so they can stretch the dope. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put this baby powder in this cocaine, or I'm going to put this B12, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm going to cut the dope with the cutting agent so I can have more product to sell. Correct. You don't know how pure the dope is. You don't know what you snorting, what you smoking, what you injecting.
Correct.
You get one batch of bad dope, bro. I didn't go to high school with this dude. I went to high school in Douglasville. I know you're at Douglasville.
Yes.
There was a high school. My high school was Douglasville. My high school was called Alexander, and the high school that one of my homies went to was called Douglas County High School. Dude was a very promising producer. He had songs. He had beats that was on the radio, and they're like, dude was going. He was that good. He took one ecstasy pill, and it was a bad pill. Dead. Bro wasn't like but 19, 20 years old. Mm-hmm. And I mean, all it takes is one bad batch, bro. I know you may have known somebody who knows somebody, if you don't know nobody directly, who done died from sniffing the bad batch or smoking the bad or injecting whatever, a bad pill, whatever. All it takes is one. Mm-hmm. And I, like you said, addiction is a disease. Mm-hmm. I've had addicts in my family. You might have had addicts in your family. We all can relate to each other on that. But I just wanted to say I don't believe that we should be encouraging people to walk around just cracked out, bro. That's insane. But go ahead.
Not what I was saying. But if y'all want to go ahead and ask a question, just drop it in the chat. Just drop your questions in the chat, and we'll go ahead and pop them on the screen for you. We appreciate everybody's engagement and activity. So go ahead, keep them flowing. I think we're having a great conversation here right now. And I think this is a great question, actually, that was probably on my radar. I want thoughts on Project 2025. Oh, God, let's talk about it. Because I wanted to stop banking with Bank of America because of Project 2025, but that's another story.
Give me a little bit more context on what exactly we're doing with 2025.
So I believe Project 2025 is I would call it a blueprint with the MAGA extremists, their blueprint to keep Republicans in power, pretty much. It is how many pages? It's deep. It's like a really, I can't even lie. It's a detailed blueprint plan on how it can happen.
So you believe that this is basically a plan to keep Trump installed? Is that the plan where they're talking about how Trump is never going to leave office or something like that?
Yeah, it's a very MAGA extremist plan.
I don't even know why people give stuff like that life. I mean, it's extreme. Listen, when I was in college, I'm a Georgia State alumni, just like you. When I was at undergrad at Georgia State, I had a professor. He's a liberal, good guy, older white guy. I don't know if he's still teaching or not, but a lot of my professors love calling on me because they can tell I'm very passionate and I'm very, very familiar with a lot of the stuff that I be talking about. And he one day he was like, "What do you think about this, Mr. Dennis?" And I was just like, I gave him my response, and he was talking about what's the difference between a radical progressive and a radical Republican, basically two extremes, two different sides. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, to be honest with you, they're actually quite similar because radical is radical.
Radical is radical.
Radical is radical. I think we all can agree with that. So and to be honest with you, Devontae, most of us actually know how to come together and talk about things as we just kind of approach the middle. Now, there are going to be some differences with, like you said, about the whole trans thing. Okay, whatever. But 90% of the stuff we talked about so far, we're pretty much not necessarily in lockstep, but we're pretty much sharing common ground.
It's things we could work out. Like if we were in Congress, we could work things out.
We have to. We have to. Our future depends on it. Like I tell all the elders, the people that's in their 50s, well, they 60s and 70s on up. I'm like, okay, those of us that are in our 20s, 30s, and 40s, most of us are going to be here 20 and 25 years from now. A lot of y'all in y'all 60s and 70s, y'all are not going to be here 20 and 25 years from now. And I'm not saying that to say I'm ready for y'all to die off. I'm just saying it because that's the way life works. You feel me? So, man, to be honest with you, bro, it's all kind of crazy conspiracy theories out there. This 2025, like I said, I didn't even know what it was. I'm familiar with the rhetoric behind it. As you can tell, I've heard about somebody saying Trump's never going to leave office and all this crap. Like, dude, he left office in 2021. So, I mean, come on, bro. Like, but the thing about it is, Devontae, the biggest problem I have with all these Trump deranged people on the left, they act like we ain't had a Trump presidency already. They act like the country just fell apart. If COVID wouldn't have happened, I don't care what nobody say, Trump would have won re-election. And then, of course, we ain't gonna get into all the shenanigans, but yeah,
if he would have handled COVID appropriately, like he should have, he probably still would have got reelected. But let's go into this next one.
We'll talk about that on the next one. But let's see what your boy said, Jose Barrera.
Okay, how do y'all feel about nonprofits giving out materials like? I'm sorry,
clean needle. I'll read it for you.
Needles. All right, go ahead.
Okay, how do y'all feel about nonprofits giving out materials like clean needles, wipes, etc.? And do you I guess he wanted to put, do you think that could be implemented instead of giving out the drugs themselves?
I do. I was giving my stance on if it was an option of we're gonna keep locking people up for 20, 30 years because they're addicted to crack or heroin and all that, or legalization. But I work for a nonprofit where we mix and mingle with other nonprofits who do these things. I agree with that.
I'm gonna say this right here. What he was talking about, the needles and the pipes and stuff, that's considered paraphernalia. And I think the Biden administration a couple of years ago was giving out what's called safe smoking kits. And yeah, there is an argument to be made because when you have people sharing needles, that is a makeup. They unfortunately make up a percentage of the people getting infected with HI, I'm trying not to sound like I get in trouble, but yeah, they get infected with that 3-letter virus. And that's another thing we got to talk about at some point. This censorship crap. We got to agree to disagree, that people should be able to say what they want to say. I shouldn't have to. And the reason why I say that is because certain streams will get shadow banned. You will get your stream taken down if you talk about stuff they don't want you talking about.
I'm a cigar enthusiast. Trust me, I am very aware of the ban and shadow banning of.
But cigars aren't controversial, dude.
But they are since, like, when you're on YouTube, you can't monetize a cigar channel. You can't, like, when you talk about cigars or the purchase of cigars, they shadow ban it. This is 100% facts.
What?
YouTube channels have quit YouTube because of stuff like that.
What?
Swear to God.
That's see, we got. I'm not trying to steer the conversation in a different direction. And like I said, just to answer Mr. Barrera's question, I don't agree with that. I don't think we should be giving out any paraphernalia because I don't want to encourage people using hard drugs. But while we're on the subject of censorship, I believe another place where we have common ground, and if you're a true liberal, every last American, especially us younger generation, because regardless of our political affiliation, we all should be able to speak our mind. As long as we're not threatening nobody, as long as we're not hurting anybody, we should be able to agree to disagree and use whatever rhetoric we want. As long as I'm not threatening to blow your house up and you ain't threatening to blow my house up, bro, why we can't talk about what we want to talk about?
Because of the misinformation and disinformation that was spread.
Oh my God.
People
that's your party, though. Your party is censorship heavy.
No, on the 19, because when the 19 happened, people were going around talking about, I saw someone say conspiracy theories. Are we going to talk about the party of conspiracy theories right now? This is a party that now is saying the FBI is crooked. Where were y'all at during Fred Hampton? That's all I'm saying. But because of the misinformation, disinformation of COVID and people like Marjorie Taylor Greene spitting these ridiculous conspiracy theories, it kind of forced the hand of these platforms to do that.
Man, but look at here, homie. I still don't believe we should be censoring people, bro. Like, I mean, I believe people should be able to do their research, because guess what? There was a lot of misinformation about COVID. Look at the hearings that Fauci just went through right now. Fauci recently, in the beginning, he was saying we don't need to wear a mask. Then he said we need to wear a mask. Then they told us if you take the juice, you won't get the bug. And then you find out you can get the bug. Right? Am I right or wrong?
But this was a disease
come on.
seen before. He's a scientist that is literally testing as it's rapidly happening, because we had a president who would not take action and kept saying it's going to be gone by next week. It's going to be gone by next week. It'll be gone next month. You could put bleach in your body. What?
Look, I don't believe that Trump handled COVID the way he could have handled it, but I like the fact that when he and the thing I don't like about Trump, right? Well, even from then till now, he's been very, very pro praising the jab, like, because he believes that he's responsible for it getting to the market as fast as it did. Operation Warp Speed. Woo, 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 woo. Now, me personally, I didn't take it, didn't plan on taking it. Ain't gonna take it. I had COVID. My body destroyed it within a matter of 24 hours. And I'm not here to demonize anybody who took it. Some people had to do it because of their job. Some people had to do it because they might have had a pre-existing condition, etc.
Somebody who was old.
Right. That's not what my diatribe is about. What I'm upset about is I am angry that people were forced to choose between a job and taking this experimental juice. People were forced to choose between eating at this restaurant and taking this experimental juice. Hanging out, it divided families. These are facts. These are incontrovertible facts. I have a problem with that. Look at the people in the military. You had people that spent 15, 20, 25 years in the military. Some of these guys been to combat overseas, risked their life, gave their blood for this country, and was forced to choose between this juice and their military career. That's not right, Devontae. That's not right, homie, at all.
I mean, that's a thing I agree with you on. I mean, I do understand why, people were encouraged to take it the way they do. But, we've been taking vaccines for ever now. I mean, if you were literally born after 1995, you are required to take a chickenpox vaccine.
To go to school.
I think to me, it is more like, I understand why people didn't want to take it. I think we should have left it at, this is something they're testing. I don't know about it. I don't want to take it. No, I don't think it was right to be like, hey, either you eat or you take this vaccine. I mean, it's a toss up because every situation is different. I've had experiences with people who didn't take the vaccine and ended up dying from COVID. And it's a whole thing, but I agree with you.
Yeah, give people choice. And then think about it like this. You had people that were exposed to the virus back before the vaccine was even on the market, back during Trump, when the virus first hit. And we were losing 1,000 people a day or something crazy like that. We were losing a lot of Americans every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the issue that I have is, okay, these people were putting their lives on the line. They were putting masks on. They were taking drugs like ivermectin and the hydroxychloroquine or whatever, and they were surviving. And the time the juice gets to the market, okay, now you got to take the juice. But I just survived without it. I just saved God knows how many lives without it. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. But yeah, I'm glad we agree on that part mostly, but I don't
mostly. Are there any other conspiracies that we can debunk from the right side? Maybe voter fraud. Was the 2020 election stolen?
Oh, the 2020 election, man. We can talk about that all night. The 2020 election, I'm gonna say this right here. I don't know how YouTube's rules are when it comes to talking about the election. I personally believe that the election was unfair. I don't believe that it was a properly run election. Everybody on the left always, whenever I talk about fraud and all this, that, and the third, excuse me, they always talk about, well, where's the proof? Where's the proof? Where's the proof? Trump tried to get so many cases, you know, and they turned down all the cases, blah, 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 blah. Well, here's the situation. Irrespective of whether you can prove there was fraud or not, I personally believe I believe this is what happened. I believe the 2020 election was definitely finessed. Okay. It was legally finessed by the Democrats. And there was some Republican participation. And here's some incontrovertible truths. You live in the state of Georgia. I live in the state of Georgia. Mm-hmm. Why does our neighbor to the south have double our population and they got the election done by midnight on the night of the election, and they got double our population with double our votes? Now, keep in mind that your overall population does not mean that's your number of overall eligible voters. That's a different number in itself, because everybody that lives in your state is not an eligible voter. Some may be too young, some may be illegal, some may be in prison or convicted felons and they ain't got their rights back yet. But the point I'm making is states like Florida and Texas can get it done. Maricopa County, Arizona, 4.5 million people. Harris County, Texas, 4.7 million people, right? So Texas got a county just as big as yours, if not, it's actually bigger. And then they got Dallas County, Fort Worth, Tarrant County, Austin, that's Travis County, San Antonio, Bayer. All these counties got 1.5 to 2.5 million people, and they getting their elections done by election night. And Texas got 2 time zones. Florida's on 2 time zones, but Georgia and Arizona take days. Why Fulton and DeKalb County keep on lollygagging and BSing when it comes to something important as an election? Why
are we trying to act like, I mean, a Republican even has a chance of winning a Fulton County, or like, what is?
No. You're missing my point, homie.
No. I'm getting you on the time frame. I think I'm missing the connection on what that time frame has to do, because when I think of when someone says the election was stolen and fraud, I think of the 2 black women, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, the 2 black women out of Coffee County who have been harassed, who have been
no, they were out of Fulton. It was Ruby Freeman. That's one of their names.
And who's the other one?
I forgot the other one. I know one was a middle-aged black woman named Ruby Freeman, and her daughter was backing her up. Yeah,
when it was literally shown on camera how people tried to clip 5 seconds, and
I saw that. But where I'm getting at when I start naming these counties: Miami-Dade, 2.6 million people; Broward, almost 2 million people. These are big counties in much bigger states than Georgia and Arizona and Wisconsin and Nevada. If they can get their elections done on election night, why can't we get ours done? It looks bad, whether you're Democrat or Republican. The optics suck. It took days for Georgia to certify our election. It took days for Arizona to certify their election. It took days for Wisconsin and Michigan to certify their elections. That's trash, bro. Like, it's 2020 back then. So we're supposed to be the most technologically advanced. This is supposed to be the most secure election in history, as they said. They stopped the count, started the count, stopped the count, started the count. Come on, bro. That looks bad. It looks bad. It makes people suspicious. If you don't want people to be suspicious, run the doggone election like it's supposed to be run. Come on, bro.
See, anytime I hear about election fraud, this is my first time ever hearing about the timing of it. When I hear election fraud, it is they have dead people voting, when they actually found out only, I think, 3 votes were casted by dead people. They talk about packing the ballot boxes. How is that even physically possible to, like? This is the first time I'm hearing of a time thing, and I think maybe I'm just slow on it. I'm not connecting on what the time has to do with. So what, during that time you're just creating more people and more people's names to throw in the.
Well, the reason I brought up the amount of time that it takes to count the votes is because when elections happen traditionally in this country, what do we usually have? We usually have an election day, right? They elect the president, they elect the governor, they elect whatever position that they're running for, and the election is over, and we know who the winner is on election night. If we don't know, if the race is too close to call, okay, you might have that happen every now and then in one sporadic state here and there. But you got, 5 states, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, 6 states, that even North Carolina, they took days to count they votes and certify the election. Even though we had a bunch of mail-in ballots, it was unprecedented. Woo. But these other, even Illinois got theirs done. Illinois is blue no matter who to the core. We know how Illinois get down. We didn't have no problems out of a state like Colorado, blue no matter who to the core, and they got theirs done. It looks bad, Devontae, whether you Democrat or Republican.
Optics are perspectives, so that's all an optic is. The way something looks is just a perspective. So,
and what about the DeKalb?
We can't go to court and be like, judge, here's 60 cases we're bringing to you, and the optics look bad, judge.
What about the DeKalb County? Was it the county commissioner's race where you had the vote totals flipped all around and discombobulated? They had to redo the election. I don't know if you remember that race. They had a woman up in Connecticut earlier. Was it this year or last year? They caught her on camera. I mean, did voter fraud happen in 2020? Yes, voter fraud happened. As Governor Kemp said, fraud happens in every election. But did enough of it happen to flip the election? There has been no real proof of that because, like I said, the election was finessed legally. But like I said before, the reason why these conspiracy theories arose, the reason why the screams of voter fraud happened is because a lot of things that did not happen happened. Look at the thing in Maricopa County, Arizona with Carrie Lake when she ran for governor against Katie Hobbs. All of a sudden, the machine is having a malfunction to print the ballots because they know in the Republican precincts that most Republicans show up to vote on election day. Do you agree that we should have 3, 4, and 5 weeks? Should we have election day or election month?
I think we should have election month. I'm a strong supporter of early voting because think about it. What about our service workers who are busting their ass, just busting tables all day, all night, supporting X amount of kids, supporting a family, not getting off till 12, 1 o'clock? When do they get a chance to vote?
How long should election month be, Devontae?
I think we should have 3 weeks of early voting. And I think we should have one election day. And then I think we should make election day an actual federal holiday.
I agree with that 1,000%. What about paper ballots? How you feel about that?
I love the fact that y'all created the paper ballots. I mean, I love that.
I'm saying, do you think that we should use paper ballots or should we use machines?
This is the first time I've actually had to sit and think. I think paper ballots would be a little bit more secure, but I trust the actual scanning process of a machine.
Let me give you an example of how I feel about paper ballots. We had a convention a few weeks ago up in Helen, Georgia. Never been to Helen, Georgia. Been in Georgia my whole life. It was called the Georgia Young Republican Convention. Most of the races were uncontested. There were 3 races that were contested, so we did a secret ballot by paper. This right here put a smile on my face. When it was them 3 races, they had everybody mark the name of who they wanted to vote for, and at the end of the voting, they piled up all the votes on top of a table where everybody in the room could watch.
Mm-hmm.
They had 2 observers and they had 2 counters. That right there, man, I was like, man, why we can't do this on a bigger scale? I know it would take a lot of
1,000 people.
I know. Logistically, I know.
Because
but guess what though? It gave us confidence in this.
Yeah.
Nobody was irate about the results. Everybody was like, well, damn,
we saw it.
Such and such won because he won. But when
I think the Young Democrats of Georgia convention in August should be held just like that.
I loved it. And they do this in foreign countries all the time. They did it in Argentina. They did it in France. They do this in foreign countries all the time. Like, bro, my whole thing. I had a debate with one of my Republican colleagues, a good dude from Harris County, Georgia, last year. Good dude, love him to death. And I said, bro, despite the fact, fraud or not, I said, don't you as a politician, if you are an elected official, Democrat or Republican, don't you want both sides? Don't you want all the voters to trust the system? Don't you want people to trust the process? Yes or no? He says, I agree with you. Of course. And you shaking your head in agreement too. Everybody should trust the process. Yes. But when you got people who don't trust the process, that's a problem.
And
when
we
you're
know.
not, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, when you're not doing anything to ameliorate the problem, when you just letting the problem fester and say, "Oh, these people crazy. Oh, these people are election deniers," that's a problem, bro. Like, there's a reason why these people are denying the election. There's a reason why people feel upset, irrespective of fraud or not.
And
You
all of
should
this,
you should want your constituents to say, "Look, we gave it our all. I'm cool if Trump lost the election, and I can go to bed at night and be like, man, that was a clean election. That election went like every other election went before. You know what? We just got to try better next time." But when we got questions that we asking, when we go into bed and Trump in the league, and all of a sudden we wake up and he not in the league, that's a problem.
that happens all the time, though.
Not really. Nope.
That
Nope.
happens all the time.
No, not like 2020. No, Devontae, listen. You have elections where the winner may not be called that night because it's too close to call. They might not be done counting all the votes, etc., etc. But we're talking about a wide scale situation. Like, this is something you got to admit, as a Democrat or Republican, labels off, man to man. You have to admit that 2020 was like an election we've never seen before. Yes or no? Exactly. Facts. It's a fact. It was an anomaly. In 2022, the midterms happened and things went much better. You know, here in Georgia, it didn't take all day.
I compared the first Trump run to, as far as, I mean, and that's where we could start with the whole distrust of the system when you talk about the Russian interference. I mean,
yeah, I heard. Yeah. 2016 is when it started. You're correct.
This comes from this, and Trump is such a genius. I will say he is such a genius. He went ahead and started planting that seed of election fraud prior to the election even happening. So he was already setting up his counter if he lost. So if he won, what would he have said? What would y'all have said? What would you have said?
You talking about 2020?
Yeah, if he won.
I mean, if he won, he won. You know, I don't believe it would have made it.
With the same situation happening.
Go ahead.
With the same situation, the same numbers, everything, you would have said he won.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't want our side to win if there's skepticism or what's the word I'm looking for? If there is the potential, or if people believe there was fraud, I don't want to win in a fraudulent way. I don't want to win if people have a shadow of doubt cast on my victory. Now, it's one thing for people to be like, okay, I'm mad he won, so let me say he cheated, when really I just won. Now, if I won fair and square and you just a hater, you just a hater. That's something totally different. You feel me? But when things happen that's so outside of the norm, bro, and we see things that we never seen before, and people lose trust, that's my biggest problem, bro. I'm not gonna sit up here and be like a lot of people on my side. They'd be like, yes, there was fraud, because all you're gonna do is be like, prove it.
And that's why I can respect you, because honestly, all I wanted to walk away from this conversation with is just for you to because I could do the same. Joe Biden, the Democratic Party, trust me, we got a lot of things we got to work out. I just wanted to hear that there are flaws and that you didn't make it into the MAGA cult. That's all.
I'm still gonna vote for him. I voted for him in 2020. I'm gonna vote for him again, and we're gonna have Trump back in there. We gotta win. We gotta say it. To me, it's deeper than Biden versus Trump. It's about the country.
Yeah, it's about democracy's on the ballot right now.
Oh my God, there you go.
The ballot right now. It really is women's rights. I want my daughter to have the choice over her own body. But my boy, we've been going at it for a minute. This has been a nice, friendly spar, and I appreciate it so much. And I want to honestly thank you, because you ducked no smoke. From the time of me saying, hey, let's jump on, let's do it live, you said, when, what time? I ain't get back.
Oh yeah, man. And I just want to apologize. I know you wanted to do it at 7, but bro, you know I'm a landscaper, and this time of year, man, we crazy. And I'm going out of town Friday to go see my granddad in Florida, and then I turn around and go back to the Caribbean. We're going to St. Lucia for my auntie's anniversary, so I'm gonna do double traveling, and I had to get some work done that I can't afford to push off. But oh no, I'm not afraid to debate anybody. I'm not afraid of no Democrat at all. You see that tattoo on my arm right there? What that tattoo? That's a lion. You see that lion right there, boy? That's the king of the jungle. I ain't scared.
respect it though. But I got some young Dems. I ain't gonna lie to you. I got some young Dems right now that they might give you a run for your money.
Man, bring them on, man. Line them up. Bring them on. I would love to do this again with you, man. Maybe next time we can have more of like a what's the word? More of like a panel where we have like four, 5, 6 people.
Yes,
we're doing. Let everybody kind of have different perspectives.
I would like that.
One thing that we may have to do though. I mean, you the host, so I'm pretty sure you'll be able to moderate because sometimes them panels be getting a little crazy. Folks be getting all loud and rambunctious. Me and you, we grown men, bro, and we done, like you said, we done been out with each other before, man. We like when I'm out with you or anybody else, bro, no matter where we are politically, bro, it's we human beings, bro. Like I don't even look at party and stuff. Like there's so much more to life than politics. Like I just started a cooking channel on one of my other channels, so like, bro, it's a whole lot.
You're a normal human being. You're right in these states, and the thing is, I have to say too, I am for Black Georgians, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. If you're a young, old, it don't matter. I support you. We may not see eye to eye. We're probably not going to see eye to eye. We're going to battle it out this election. I'm excited for it. And I think I want to take you up on that panel discussion though.
Yeah, let's do it, bro. Like what we'll do is you get 2 of your Democrat homies. I'll get 2 of my Republican homies, and bro, we'll set it up, man. Maybe in the next month or so. We just got to make sure everybody's schedules are coinciding together so we can do it. I would love that. And we can market it. Because believe it or not, one more thing, my AYR president had hit me up. Well, she didn't hit me up directly. We got a little group chat on this app called Group Me, and she was like, "There's a debate with AYR. Who boy? What?" And I was just like, "Oh, my homie Devontae made. I didn't know he's gonna put it on Instagram. I thought it was just gonna be limited to YouTube. But when we put it on Instagram, they got an AYR Instagram page. That's how she found out about it. She said, well, let's try to coordinate. Y'all do it again. Let's make it, where we can market it. So they cool with it. They just want it to be something that everybody can be in on. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we can get different people from different perspectives, man. So I would love to do that. That should be the next thing we do, bro, because me and you, I already knew how this was going to go. I knew we was going to have a civil conversation. You ain't get mad at me. I ain't get mad at you. I think your beliefs on a couple policies are a little cuckoo. You think my beliefs on a couple policies are a little cuckoo, but that's fine. But bro, we human beings at the end of the day, bro. We brothers. We both Black. We both men. God. Like, bro, it's not that deep, bro. It's really not.
At all, bro, because I'm gonna let you know. It ain't that deep to me, and I love my Black people. That's it. And please bring the young Republicans on. Because we just thought they would duck the smoke. We ain't know they wanted.
I got some Black and white conservative brothers. They with it. They not running from nobody.
Bring the ones with the Confederate flags, though, not the ones. I want the true MAGA ones.
You want them? You want that kind?
Yeah.
With the jacked up trucks, and breath smell like whiskey all day. You want that kind? Chewing a piece of straw in their mouth.
Oh God!
It's some overalls and one named Bubba. Now I'm gonna be honest, I don't know none of them MAGA boys. I don't have no MAGA boys.
Not one of them. That's not a conversation at that point.
And to be honest with you, usually those kind, man, they're not really that politically inclined, man. They may not be to have some of them are very smart. This is a white in the white race. The term redneck is not synonymous with racist. Sometimes a white person just may be from the country and they may just live that lifestyle, but they're not racist. I done been around them. Right, you from Alabama, so you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. They be some of the most down to earth people in the world. But if it's somebody, I'm not gonna bring nobody on no panel who don't know what Congress is, Black or white. It's some people who don't know the difference between a governor and a mayor. Like it's some people that's that slow.
Yeah, I mean,
all races. It don't matter what color they are.
On God.
We're not gonna have nobody on the panel that's gonna be taking up space, bro. They're gonna have to be able to contribute something valuable to the conversation.
Yeah, because guess what? We're all going to see. I mean, we're all still very young. We're still like young babies in it, in a way. We're all gonna see each other in Congress one day. We all gonna see each other in the House, and
time moves different in the political world. Like you in your 30s and 40s, you young for a politician. Because the average congressman like 70, you know what I'm saying?
And that's another topic we're gonna hit. They needs to go though.
We'll do
But my
that.
brother, I appreciate you. We appreciate everybody who tuned in. You know, go ahead, go do your research on the young Republicans. You know, like at the end of the day, everybody says this as some cliche stuff, but we are Americans at the end of the day. So if you really care about America and America is what you have your passion and your pride in, shouldn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Just debate it out friendly. Get a little sparring session in. You know what I mean?
It
And
ain't
that's
that
all I
deep.
got, man. You got anything else?
Man, I just wanted to just say, man, I appreciate you inviting me on, man. You know, this is actually my very first time debating a young Democrat on any channel, whatever. I've done it in person like 50,000 times, and it was never an issue, but I've never done it on a podcast before, bro. So
Yeah,
and I enjoyed it, bro. I enjoy having these type of conversations with people that don't agree with me, because it's always good to get a different perspective, and we can still, you know, hang out. You're more than welcome to come to one of our AYR events. I'll pull up on the Young Democrat of Georgia event, bro. It don't matter. You know, we have happy hour once a month. We have monthly meetings, you know.
I'm trying to make it to the Ivory, but I heard they might not let me in though.
Oh, I ain't never heard.
I'm just messing with you, bro.
Okay, but I said Ivory pretty laid back. That's the Buckhead Republic
for me. It's right up the street from me, bro.
Okay,
Like
cool,
the car wash right across from it.
Okay,
Yeah, all the time. So
for sure.
Yes, we're gonna let everybody get back to your nights. We appreciate the friendly sparring in the comments as well. And until next time, y'all, stay black. And if you're not, keep it real.
Peace.